how the city council has been working. Today we cannot have the demonstrations that we used to have because we can be cornered in one street without being able to jump over the fences. Or can we? Have you seen those high fences that they have put and then have put spikes on them? We can't be able to jump over them. That is the reform that the city council is putting in place to ensure that the reformers, when they go to the streets, they don't get very far. They go to the streets. We have seen them unleashed on some of our supporters. Now, what are we saying? We would want to go back to where we were, whereby, if you remember in the Sabasaba, when we called for demonstrations, everybody would come in the streets. Today, if you want people in the streets, they first ask how much you are paying them. Is that true? Yes. Because politicians are there in the field. When politicians want to mobilize, if you remember during the campaign, Raila mobilized people in the Robin and the field had more than 10,000 in this country. And we need to go further down than that. Then we also have the blame game that the police has adopted. It's Mokeke who is doing this, it's Mokeke who is doing this. And sometimes you wonder, have all the criminals in this country, suspended their criminal activities or hired Mokeke to take up their criminal activities? In the name of hiding behind Mokeke, they are not doing the work that they are supposed to do, what to call the keepers. When we come to Kisumu, for example, if you have not invited me for a workshop, because I am one of the people who is a professional workshop goer, then I cause problems. In terms of why was I not invited. And in the process, you shut other people from getting the information which they have gotten 100 times. In the process now, the civil society shrinks into a group that can be dismissed. And the other sometimes Kibaki asks, who elected you? And sometimes when you then the other one is where we cannot also mobilize others when we are fighting among ourselves. We cannot be able to say that we want to mobilize citizens towards reforms when we ourselves are not reflecting the accountability that we are demanding, the truth that we are demanding, the honesty that we are demanding. Then we have the ordinary citizen. And so long as the religious leaders are not speaking in one voice in the civil society, then that woman or that man who comes to your meeting also goes to church. And you know in church is even a bit complicated because you are not supposed to question. And you are supposed to be faithful and obey. So when you come to this forum and then you are told differently in another forum in the church or in your religious place, now what is that citizen supposed to do?
Thank you, Lucas. Now we have a third presentation by Betty Otero. She's going to answer the question, is civil society effective in their participation with ongoing reforms? Betty.
Good morning, everybody. I'm here now to say for all the issues have already started. When Gilbert got up and asked how many people knew about the GP1, I was amazed that more than half of the hall did not have information about that. They know about it, probably did, but did not have information about what exactly it was. And so as a sector, when we start asking ourselves whether we're engaging in reform, and yet half the room, more than half the room is not aware of just one particular aspect of the reform process, I think we all need to get to be worried. Because when the question we ask ourselves is this a reflection of what the sector is in terms of the knowledge, in terms of the awareness of these issues? And therefore, does that have a big impact on how we engage in the reform process? I think we can actually sum up and say that the state of this sector, the civil society sector, has been reflected in how we have refused to deal with something we're calling an NGO council. It's a shame that we have two institutions claiming to represent the sector, and we as a sector have refused to engage in a governance issue that touches on every single one of us. Where is our proactive nature? Where is it? I was in London last week, and I was amazed that 7,000 square kilometers of land is desert. And yet, in the same place, we have a camp in Kakuma. But we have institutions that have brought resources in one area to the exclusion of the community that's there, creates an unnecessary conflict. That is a moral issue. The only thing the issues of reform is not just the reform as it is now, but it is also the reform that enables people to enjoy basic needs, enjoys people to have the rule of government, the rule of law, and that human rights are protected. So that are we focusing so much on just this agenda for item to the exclusion of everything else that is happening when this reform process started? What were our minimum? We actually have a minimum. If we say that between this month and that month, we expect this to have been done. And probably because we never give our own timetable, we are constantly using the timetable that the government has given. And I think we need to get away from that. We need to be able to start taking charge. And taking charge means that our voices must be heard on radio, on TV, on posters in the streets. Because I know we have the capacity to innovate, and I know we are very creative in the way we do our work. But most important, the biggest opportunity we have right now is the energy fire. We need to tap into that energy. Because if we don't, we have communities that are now starting to do things on their own. Unfortunately, because there is no leadership, it is going to be to the detriment of the country. We are able to map out our priorities. And our priorities are going to depend on the program or the timetable that we put in place that will determine the success or the lack of. Because it is only that we'll be able to use to evaluate whether the reform agenda is actually on track. The only time we were able to evaluate this was when the President and the Prime Minister put us a page in the hat and were playing catch up by saying, no, not true, no, that's not true, no, it cannot be. We didn't have our own benchmarks. We need to be able to set them because then we'll be able to determine whether we are on track or not. Finally, I think it is important for us to set up a coordination unit. We need a structure. We need to be able to find out how we shall communicate. We need to be able to put in place systems that we can monitor. But most importantly, we need to build the capacity of everybody to be able to lobby, to be able to advocate wherever we are, and to be able to engage. When we had a public forum the day before yesterday, one person told us that, you know, Nyanza is 98% healed. Central province is 2% healed. So when you talk about reconciliation, you take that reconciliation to Central province. That is community speaking. But then it is telling that we have institutions on the ground, and also telling that as civil society organizations, how we really in touch with the perceptions and the views and the feelings that the community have. Because it only tells me that we still have a long way to go and we still have a lot of work to do. Thank you very much.
Issues. I was supposed to be here earlier, but I got caught out of it. I was supposed to address the question of constitution making and referendum. What are the options? I will speak very briefly. What I'm doing is to just provide some general direction, but also specifically to just bring to your attention some of the very current developments in terms of civil society preparing to take part in the process before and after launch of the draft constitution, which we are expecting. The optimistic optimists are saying by 15th of November we should be having the draft constitution. I don't know how true that is, but we just wait and see. I think that